Hi everyone, I'm Monique with Open Gate Quilts, and I'm going to show you how to do the Christmas in the Park block of the month. It's a 5-month block of the month, and this is our first month, which is applique. We are actually only going to do it in 4 months so that you can get it done for Christmas. So our last month will be November, and we're going to be doing 2 months. We're going to be doing the paper piecing as well as the finishing. So we'll get it all done before Christmas so you can have it quilted and away you go. So let's begin. The first thing you're going to do is you want to take your pattern out of your sleeve and also take your applique pieces or your applique templates out. I want you to take them out, and when you do, you're going to have a piece of the ground. And what I did was for the ground is I put it in 3 different sections, and they're on 3 different pages of your applique. The reason I did this is so that we could get everything in that we need and that you can piece this together. Another thing to keep in mind about the ground is that it is reverse of what it is on the actual quilt, and the reason I did that is that we're going to be using fusible webbing, so we want to make sure that it's on the reverse. Remember, fusible webbing goes on the back side of the fabric, where the if you're doing a traditional applique and use freezer paper, that goes on the front. So if you decide that you want to use the traditional method of applique or use that kind of thing, go ahead and reverse the pattern. And honestly, it won't make a big difference if you don't reverse it and you have the bump on the left side instead of the right side. It really won't make any difference at all. The trees are symmetrical, so you don't have to worry about reversing those. So what I did was I cut them out, and I didn't cut them out on the line. So this is the paper template that comes in your pattern. So I did not cut them out on the line. I gave myself a little bit extra. The reason I'm going to do that is that I'm going to actually trace the fusible on the line, and when you put it on the reverse of your fabric, if you put it cut it right on the line, it's really hard to get it exactly on the line. So that's why I did that. So then I just taped it together with regular tape. You're going to take your fusible webbing and you're going to line it up here. Now when you use your fusible webbing, use it to its best advantage. Notice that we have a nice long straight line for our fusible webbing. Might as well use that, and we can go ahead, and I would on the bottom, I would go ahead and just use that line. You want a little bit extra on the top, and actually I take that back. I'm going to go a little bit on the bottom here. And what you'll do is you're going to just take a pencil, and on the paper side you're going to trace all along here, and then on the sides I'm just going to use my pencil, and on the bottom I'm also going to use my pencil and my ruler to line up the bottom. Whenever you can use your pencil and your ruler together to give you those nice straight lines, go ahead and use them, because that will help you keep everything nice and straight. So you're going to go ahead and do that, and what you want to do is once you have this traced out, write what it is on there. That way you know when you put it, obviously we know this is ground, but if you look at the different trees have tree number 1, tree number 4, excuse me, that was tree number 2. You have your different trunks, so you want to make sure that you trace each one individually. When you trace the trees, you want to trace, if you look at tree 6 and tree 5, to conserve space, I put them together. You're going to trace tree 6 separate and then tree 5 separate. You don't want to trace them inside each other. So you have individual ones of each one. And again, when you're tracing these, you want to trace them here, and then you're going to fuse them to your fusible webbing, and you're going to cut it out larger than it needs to be. I already did one for you so you can see. Now in your instructions, let me put the ground away as well. In your instructions, I give you a piece on what you need to cut so that you know what fabrics and what size you need to make each of your trees. So this particular one, this is the green snowflake, and I need my tree number 1 on here. So I'm just going to take this. The paper side is up, the fusible side is on the wrong side or the reverse side of your fabric. So this is the fabric. So I'm going to take that, and you want to try and keep it straight a grain. With fusible, it really doesn't go off the straight a grain, so I wouldn't worry too much about it, but I like to keep it that way just as a rule of thumb. So I'm going to grab my iron, and I'm going to grab my fusible. I'm just going to lay this on here, and notice how it's a little bit larger. Did that on purpose because I'm going to cut on the line, and I'm just going to fuse it. Now with fusible, you don't want to hold it down for like 30 seconds. I just give it a nice little 3 to 4 second hold. Take that off. I can pull this aside. And what I can do is I can cut this exactly on the line, and I use my ruler and my rotary cutter. Now I do have a rotary cutter that I use for fabric only, so I'm going to use this, or excuse me, for paper only, and I use this because I just use an old blade, and it's not super sharp, but it will cut through the paper and it won't dull your blade that you're doing for fabric. So I use this both for fusible and for the paper. Now you might have to go in just, or be a little stronger on your cutting so you get through. Alright, and then I'm going to cut the bottom here. So what makes our trees nice and straight is because I used my my rotary cutter and my ruler. So you're going to do that for all of your pieces. What I like to do is I will look which one is like what fabric I use for tree 1, what fabric I use for tree 7, and I will cut my my fusible webbing out and roughly and trace them, cut them out, and put them with that fabric and fuse it all at once, cut it all at once. You also have your tree trunks, which you can do the same way, trace them, and then cut them using your rotary cutter. The snowflake is a little different story. It's the same process where you're going to trace it out, but you're actually going to have to cut this out by hand using scissors. And it just takes a little bit to go through all of those. You need 4 of those, and here is what you have. Now remember, if you're off a little bit, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Once you get your stitching on there and you get your quilting, it's going to look pretty. Mine's not perfect, and I'm happy with it. It looks great. So again, what you'll do is you're going to take and draw it, cut it out exactly on the line, and then you're going to take your background, and what you'll do, and I'll just show you an example, is you're going to take the paper off, lay it on your background. We're just going to pretend that's part of it here, and you're going to fuse it using your iron. Once you get it fused, and I lay out my pieces, let me grab this here so you can see. I lay out my pieces and I take it to my ironing board, and I will lay them out, and then I'll fuse them once I have a nice placement of it. So that's basically what I did for this one. So these are all fused in place and ready to start stitching. The instructions tell you what size to cut this, what size to, or how to cut this, as well as all your pieces and what they need to be. So your instructions will tell you all that. I'll put this back, and then I'm going to show you, once you get it all fused, there's a couple of ways to adhere these down. You can do, like I told you earlier, you can hand applique, you can fuse it like I did, whatever you prefer. Now if you're going to fuse it, either way, whether you hand applique or fuse it, you're still going to need to put some kind of stitch on the edge to hold this down. Because with wear, and if you decide to wash it, you may need to, it may start fraying or coming up. So it shouldn't fray with the fusible. So there's a couple different stitches that you can use. You can use a blanket stitch, and if you can't really see, I'm going to just draw it for you here. So blanket stitch basically is you go a straight and you bite in. So straight and bite in. So that goes, and so this straight line is on the edge here, and the bite goes into your applique. Now I also did an example of a feather stitch that you can do. You can do this by hand, you can do this by machine. Same with a feathers or a blanket stitch. You can do it either by hand or by machine. It's really up to you. And then the last one, which actually when I do anything that has applique and I want to stitch it down, and sometimes with, depending on the applique and depending on the quilt, but in this particular one, I'm just gonna do a straight line. Now you don't have to do this right away. You can wait until your quilt's all put together and you're quilting it, and you can actually quilt the applique lines as you go. And I've done that several times. What's nice about doing it that way is it actually saves a step. You don't have to do this, any of the other stitches. You don't have to do double your stitching here. It's totally a preference whether you want to do it or not. I will probably do that, so when I quilt it, I can just applique it down. Same thing with the snowflake. You can do a blanket stitch around here, a feather stitch, a straight stitch, or you can wait and you can quilt it and stitch it down together. So it works either way for that. So once you get your two pieces done, you're going to get your center. I guess it's not two pieces, it's 5 pieces. You're going to get your center done, and you're either going to stitch it using your different stitches, or you're going to wait and stitch it when you quilt it. You're also going to do 4 different snowflakes, so you want to do those as well. Same thing, once you get those done, you are ready for month 2, which is next month. So, in summary, what we're doing is we are appliquing. Either I use the fusible webbing. I give you some ideas on how to do that. If you have any questions, please let me know. But we did the fusible webbing on the back, and then we stitched it on the front once we got it all cut out. So here's some examples of what we did. And then once we're done that, we just have to put it aside and wait for next month. A couple things I wanted to mention too, that the stitching, if you haven't got your Christmas night thread pack, the stitching for the applique is actually perfect. These colors are perfect for applique. Can be used for quilting, can be used for piecing, can be used for binding, whatever it is, but these colors are wonderful when you're doing your stitching. So this lighter green is perfect for here, and then the darker green is great for that one, and then your white is great for all the white as well as your snowflakes. So that is available as well. And if you have never used Aurifil thread, it's a wonderful thread and you will love how it stitches up. So that is available as well. And then another thing I wanted to mention, in case I have forgotten, that this block of the month is actually out of Christmas night, and this is available in stores now. So if you're interested in getting them, I do have a few kits left. If you're interested, just check out my website, opengatequilts.com, and you can see if we have any left, as well as backings for it too. So that's the different things. If you are interested in doing the block of the month, but you do not want to get the kit, that's not a problem. I do have the block of the month as a PDF on my website, so you can check that out on opengatequilts.com. Next month we will be doing these 2 side trees, so let me grab this to show you. Next month we're going to be doing the 2 side trees. You can do either one, the black and the green or the red and the green. Either one is beautiful. I have already made the the red and the green, and I am working on the black and the green. So they are both very beautiful. Either one works great. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. I am going to be doing the sample in the black and green because I've already done the red and green. So I just wanted to let you know that. So anyway, that's what we're doing. Again, if you have any questions, next tutorial we'll be working on the side trees. We will be, I can show you the progress on the trees as well. And if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial and you learned something new. And we'll see you next month. Quilt bind and enjoy. Bye.